a man in a navy blue security uniform. His name was Richard. To the people who lived in the luxurious apartments, he was simply the guard. A face they passed when rushing to work, a man who nodded and opened the gate, someone who carried packages or helped when the elevator stalled. Few ever learned his story, fewer cared. But Richard carried a secret, one so heavy that it had driven him away from the glittering world of wealth into this quiet post, where no one would look at him twice. Once, not long ago, his name was spoken with admiration in boardrooms and whispered with envy at gala dinners. He had been a billionaire, young, celebrated, envied. Now he lived in a one-room shack behind the security office, with nothing but a kettle, a mattress, and a faded photograph hidden in his drawer. He had run from everything: money, power, even his own name. He wore the uniform of a guard because it was the only way to disappear. For Richard, this life was safe, ordinary, quiet, and he thought he wanted nothing more. Until one evening, when kindness cracked open the walls he had built around his heart. It was a Friday evening, and the courtyard of Silver Heights buzzed with activity. Residents in fine clothes streamed out to waiting cars, heading to parties, dinners, and gatherings. Richard stood at his post, calm, almost invisible, until a sharp voice cut through the air. "You there, guard?" A man in a tailored suit, holding a glass of wine though he was clearly already drunk, staggered toward him. His name was Dennis, one of the more arrogant tenants. "Why are you standing there like a tree? Didn't you see me wave? Open the gate faster, fool." Richard said nothing. He moved to open the gate, his face calm, though inside his chest, a storm churned. He had dealt with men like Dennis all his life, men who thought money gave them permission to belittle others. Once, Richard had been on the other side of that equation. Now he endured it silently. But before he could finish unlocking the gate, another voice spoke up. "That's enough, Dennis." The words were firm, unafraid. Richard turned slightly and saw her. A young woman stood a few steps away, carrying a grocery bag. She wasn't dressed in anything fancy, just a simple blouse and jeans, but there was strength in her eyes. Her name, as Richard would later learn, was Pamela. Dennis laughed harshly. "And who are you to tell me what's enough?" "I'm someone who knows how to treat people with respect," Pamela replied, setting her groceries down. "He's not your servant. He's doing his job. You should be ashamed of yourself." Dennis sneered, muttered something about nosy women, and stumbled toward his car. But Richard's gaze lingered on Pamela. No one had spoken up for him like that in a long time. Not since her. When Dennis's car finally roared away, Pamela bent to pick up her groceries. Richard, finding his voice, stepped forward. "Let me help you with that." She smiled. A simple, warm smile that made the world feel lighter. "Thank you." And for the first time in years, Richard felt something stir inside him. A small flicker of hope. Pamela was unlike most residents of Silver Heights. She wasn't rich. She had rented a modest apartment on the lowest floor after getting a scholarship to a nearby university. She worked part-time at a bookstore, spent evenings studying, and lived simply. But what set her apart was her heart.